Namaskar and good afternoon. On the Global Tiger Day 2020, I would like to thank the Government of India, the National Tiger Conservation Authority, state governments, scientific institutions, NGOs, community-based organizations, and the people of India for making us proud with India's tiger success, which is now trending on social media. So what all are behind this success and what more needs to be done? Today we will hear about that. I would request the Inspector General NTCA, Dr. Amit Malik, to start with a welcome speech.
Very good afternoon to all. At the outset, I welcome the Additional Director General and Member Secretary, NTCA, Yadav sir, Mr. Ravi Singh, the Secretary General WWF, Sanjay Pathak, our old colleague, in NTCA, now in the Field Director of Dudhwa Tiger Reserve, Anjana, Deputy Director, Kanha Tiger Reserve, Vijayanand, Field Director, Paramikulam Tiger Reserve. A very warm welcome to all of you, and also a very warm welcome to all who are right now linked and associated or viewing this program today. As we are aware, today is the Global Tiger Day, being celebrated across the globe, and especially it has a lot of relevance as far as India is concerned, and as far as the NTC and the Tiger Fraternity of India is concerned. It's a proud moment and a day for us. On the eve yesterday, we had the launch of one of the very prestigious documents, as we may say so, because it's a fourth cycle of the estimation process. This report, which has come out yesterday, is very, very exhaustive, and it would be very informative for all tiger managers as well as for all others academia who follow tiger management in India and across. Today's topic, jointly being organized by WWF, is the future of tiger conservation management and perspectives in India. We are very happy to have very experienced field officers today and across different landscapes. Because of the limitation of the participation, we could only have limited participation from across the 3 tiger reserves. But these tiger reserves are distinct in terms of the landscape, the challenges, and management regimes being followed. So we would not going much into details. We would like to definitely hear from each one of them. And as part of the webinar, we'll also have questions coming in. And as we go ahead, we would have ample space and time to discuss. So once again, a very warm welcome to all. And let us begin. I'll hand over to Dipankar.
Thank you, Dr. Malik. As we have heard, viewers, there is an opportunity for you to ask questions, comments, suggestions on the comment section on Facebook Live. So if you are viewing on Facebook, please go ahead and then you can add your questions after the sessions. A little bit on the sessions, we have an impressive lineup of speakers today, all of whom are online now. We have as you heard, you have the Additional Director General, Project Tiger and Member Secretary, NTCA, Dr. SP Yadav. We have the IG NTCA, Dr. Malik. We have Field Directors of Dudhwa and Paramikulam Tiger Reserves and Deputy Director of Kanha. And we also have the Secretary General and CEO of WWF-India. For a change, in this webinar, we will not have any presentations. Ever since we have started the pandemic, there has been a lot of presentations. So we thought that we will keep it more alive and discussions. So we will do this discussion in a question answer mode. Viewers on Facebook Live and YouTube, thank you for watching. We will first go to Miss Anjana TK, ma'am, if you please unmute your microphone, and thank you for joining. Ma'am, since when you have been working in Kanha, if you please tell us.
I joined Kanha in 2016. Thank you, Dipankar. I joined in 16 August. So it's almost 3.5 years. I mean, it's going to be 4 years this 2020. And Kanha, I had a wide range of experience from buffer to core. And it was a beautiful journey ever since. And it has been a learning experience for me. I did two tiger reserves before Panna and Sanjay, so it was three of them are entirely different. And Kanha, of course, is an institution, so it has taught me a lot since these 4 years.
Fantastic. So, what has been the most memorable experience for you in Kanha in all these years?
One of the most memorable experience was when I just joined Kanha in 2016 August. So my ACS, he came in January uh, 2017, and by that time I had not seen a live tiger in Kanha since my joining. So and when I was moving with him, showing him around the park and the works, then suddenly we saw a tiger. And I told him after 4 months, this is my first time I'm seeing a live tiger in Kanha. So
Right.
like he jumped up and he said, he laughed. He have visited Kanha as a commissioner Jabalpur and as a collector
Right.
Mandla. Every time I saw a tiger in my first visit, and you are a deputy director who was saying that you are seeing your first tiger after 4 months, and you've just seen I mean, dead tiger before that. So it was like he narrated that at several events, and for me also it was like 6 months I'm seeing a live tiger in Kanha.
Fantastic. I mean, seeing a tiger, seeing the striped cat is always phenomenal, and that too in Kanha. So, as you also said, that Kanha has been a pioneer in tiger as well as prey, and particularly Barasinga conservation. So, what is the next big goal for Kanha?
Yeah. Yes, Dipankar, as you said, as you rightly said, Kanha has been a pioneer in tiger conservation efforts and also the Barasinga conservation. So after this step now is like strengthening the tiger population on an eastern side, the Halon Valley. And because we have worked less in that part of the valley, so now we need to strengthen the population by more intensive habitat management so that we can have a uniform kind of tiger population throughout the Kanha Tiger Reserve. Secondly, also we have a vision ahead to develop a greater Kanha, to work to develop a greater Kanha in the whole landscape that we are working in the corridor areas and in the corridors connecting Achanak Marg, the corridors connecting Navegaon, Nagzira, and Pench. And also, thirdly, we also want to reintroduce wild buffaloes, which have got locally extinct from Kanha. It's one of our major, event that's going to take place in the coming year.
Fantastic. As we have rightly stated that you are working on a landscape mode, Kanha remains the major source population for tigers and prey in central India landscape. So, what has been the major actions by yourself and the department and the forest department for managing this negative interaction between human beings and wildlife? We have heard that there has been a bit of challenge with crop raiding herbivores and carnivores dispersing in human dominated spaces. So, any experience that you would like to share with the viewers?
Yeah, as we know, around 37 villages have been relocated from Kanha Tiger Reserve since 1969, and most of them have settled in and around the buffer areas. So, and the population around Kanha Tiger Reserve, the 169 villages that are there in the buffer, is around 1.5 lakh. So, the population of cattle is around 60 to 70,000. We need to really we have a lot of like around 600 cattle deaths in a year. So the mitigation that we are doing in the corridor and buffer areas is having a close dialogue with the villages through our EDCs. We are organizing skill development programs for the youth so that we can woo them on our side. We are also distributing LPG, pressure cookers, school bags, umbrellas, etc. for the villages which are there, and the schools which are there in the buffer areas. Then we are also organizing community games in the buffer areas regularly. So these have made, our presence felt, and confidence building measures have always been, we have been doing it regularly. So a good rapport is there between the villagers and the Kanha management, which helps us to mitigate the anger that they have when their cattle gets killed or their crop gets raided in their villages.
That's fantastic. Like you said, that this rapport between the villagers and the park authorities, that's really exciting. Does it also help in any way in managing the connectivity because it's a connected landscape?
Yeah, yeah. As we know, this whole area is a tribal dominated landscape, and
Right.
people are sympathetic towards the movement of carnivores. They know how to coexist with the carnivores, so that makes our work a bit easier. They don't go and organize killings, rampant killings or rampant poaching is not there when it comes to large carnivores and all. Yes, bushmeat killing is there, and for that we are working very hard with the local youths and weaning them off from this hunting practices by giving them training in imparting training in skills like driving, housekeeping, cooking. So
Right.
these type of activities are taking
Right.
place.
Thank you. Thank you. I think the buzzword that you have said towards the end of your statement is coexistence. I think we stay with that. Thank you so much, Anjana ji. I will go next to Mr. Sanjay Pathak. Sanjay ji, thank you so much for joining the webinar today. Despite the difficulties, I know that it's raining heavily there as well as in Parambikulam. Sanjay ji, you have served in, a few years back as a deputy director. You did some stellar work there. Then you served in NTCA and Government of India, and now you are back to Dudhwa as the field director. So, what has changed between then and now? You are on mute, Sanjay ji.
Yeah, Dipankar, I'd like to wish everyone a happy International Tiger Day, and I would like to thank WWF and the NTCA for inviting me to this program. So, what has changed between then and now? Most of the things I'll say, as you know, that UP is known for its population, both of human beings as well as cattle. So the population definitely has gone much ahead, much more than what I left at that time. And on the part of coordination also, I have not seen something positive happening on that front. So on the other side also, the number of forest personals that has gone down who are there working, but that has been supplemented by the by the placement of the STPF personals by the government of Uttar Pradesh. So that is not also the strength wise, the required strength is definitely not there. But despite all challenges, we are working on the front of coordination with the Nepalese authority. I have not seen a very positive change on that front also.
I'll come to that. So I'll come to
things
that.
Are more or less things are more or less similar. Yeah, more or less similar. The anti-poaching regime has definitely improved in the Dudhwa Tiger Reserve, but on the habitat front and on the front of eco-development activities, I have not seen a very significant change.
Right, but then you have started with a change. We personally we saw it last year that you have done some great work in terms of grassland restoration, and this year also you have rediscovered an orchid, a new orchid species from Goa. So could you tell us a little more about the grassland restoration?
Yeah, definitely, Dipankar. When I came here, I could make out that the grassland, the quality of grassland is deteriorating, and that too, I could make out that it is happening because we have been using the fire as a major tool for managing the grasslands. Somewhere, wherever we were having this Bengal florican or hispid hares, like there we were using the checkered board pattern of grassland management, but otherwise mostly they were using this fire as a tool for managing the grasslands. So what happened, the concentration of those species which are hardy, which are prone to fire, that has multiplied, and in the meantime those species which are not very fire friendly, they have gone down. So we thought that we should definitely increase the species which are edible, and because of that we contacted one taxonomist, very known person, Professor S.R. Yadav. So he paid his visit, and with help of him we could identify so many edible and non-edible grasses. And of course, with the help of WWF, we organized two workshops in which the one Mr. Pandey from the SFRI Jabalpur, he paid his visit, and Mr. Ravi was a former joint director and then director also in Panna Tiger Reserve. So he also came, and we had a 2 days, 3 days workshop for 2 consecutive years. So the ultimate aim was to increase the edible species in the very grassland, and we are not having any nursery sort of thing here. So we thought that we should multiply the edible grasses, the edible species of grasses, by transplanting their slaves, and of course by collection of seeds which can be further after germination they can be transplanted.
Oh, he has dropped off. I guess there has been some challenges with network. We will come back to Mr. Pathak when he comes back. So I would now go to Sri Vijay Anand. I think Mr. Pathak is trying to
Yeah,
come back.
yeah. I lost the connection. So
Welcome
so
back.
I was talking about the number of species, edible species of grasses. So that we are trying to multiply, and we are now having at least 4 or 5 nurseries in Dudhwa and in Katania Ghat also. So there also this year we have collected seeds of Dichanthium, which is edible throughout, and other species also, Imparata, and some other species which are liked by the herbivores here. So we are trying to multiply those species, and will be replacing those inedible sort of grasses from the grasslands of Dudhwa, and we'll try to increase the concentration of edible grasses. So that is definitely going to help help in increasing the number of rare species, which will ultimately lead to the number of tigers.
Fantastic. Thank you. You just mentioned tigers and prey, but in the passing, you also talked about another species, a critically endangered species, which is Bengal florican. So I think the way that
Yeah,
you are trying to conserve these grasslands, it will help a few other species also. So that's really great to hear, sir. Thank you. Sir, what
yeah,
is
we
the
have Dipankar, one thing, we have stopped use of fire as a tool for managing grasslands. So only whatever target we are getting from the NTCA, and there we are using that other practices. I have also laid down at least 10 research plots in each of the major grasslands, and I have asked my fellows to see which method is going to be beneficial for that very grassland. So this year we have restricted our management practice to cutting, and then this harrowing, etc., and cutting in a checkerboard pattern. So fire we have used wherever those areas where we are not given the target, those areas only we are using the fire as a tool. Otherwise, most of the areas we have been using alternative methods.
Right.
And you talked about that orchid also. I forgot to mention about that orchid, the Eulofia genus, Eulofia obtusa. So that has been found after 118 years anywhere in the world. Before
Congratulations.
that, this was reported in 1902 in Pilibhit Tiger Reserve. Pilibhit part of Pilibhit, now it is Tiger Reserve, but at that time it was Pilibhit simply. So that species has been found after 118 years. So that is a rare discovery, and we were successful in photographing the fruit of that species also. So that is a rare. Nobody has taken the photograph of that fruit.
Right, fantastic. Uh, Sir, Dudhwa is part of the transboundary Tarayark landscape, and it also has transboundary connectivity with the forest and tiger habitats in Nepal. So, what has been your experience in maintaining this transboundary connectivity in the past, and what has changed, and what are your plans for future?
Yeah, I would say that is a boon and bane at the same time, because we are having connectivity with the Nepal, and through corridors animals move in and out of those areas, and that is enriching the genetic makeup of the very area. But when I am saying, because we are having more than 120 kilometers stretch which is common with Nepal, and because of them we are facing lot of conflicts also. Apart from, lot of crime is happening through that Nepalese border. So particularly in those areas where people are after timber, and we are trying to garner support from the Nepalese authority also, but we are not getting much, because recently the relationship between the government of India and the government of Nepal is quite strained, as you all are aware. And apart from that, at the local level, we are trying our bit to have a better coordination with the Nepalese authority. So at the district level, they go for that meeting every month, in which both the authorities try to participate.
So, the
But
field
at the higher
level,
level,
just to interrupt you, so the field level interaction is really working well, as you were saying.
yeah, as compared to higher level working, you can say, because we are planning to have, earlier we are having interaction with the Nepalese authority. They used to come here, we never
Right.
went there. That has never happened. The Indian authorities are going to their area. Their higher ups, their senior most officers used to come to Dudhwa once at least in a year, and we used to have all sort of interactions. We used to have certain resolutions, but that remained on paper mainly,
So, we'll
hardly
definitely look.
executed. Yeah.
So I think we have the member secretary here also at IG, so this will definitely noted. So what is the flood situation here in Dudhwa this year, sir?
It is quite controlled, but it has not gone worse so far, and quite controlled. And I think that flood situation has, after 2010, has never worsened in the manner it used to be happening earlier. So
Okay,
overall, the situation is under control right now.
thank you. Thank you so much, Sanjay ji, for sharing your experiences and some candid remarks. We will come back to you with questions. Thank you
Okay,
once again.
okay. Thanks a lot, Deepankar.
So we'll now go to Vijay Anandji, the field director of Parambikulam Tiger Reserve. Thank you, sir, for joining.
Thank
Parambikulam
you.
has some examples of community-based tourism, and even the ecotourism measures Parambikulam has been doing very good. You have got national level awards. Some 7 years back, I saw that how the reserve had shunned single-use plastic. I think we were in a group and somebody was carrying a plastic bottle, and still flask was given, and water was given from filter. So that's really something great. So my question to you, sir, is that currently, what are the ecotourism products that you are promoting for local economic sustainability?
Yeah, thank you, Deepankar ji. First of all, I really thank you, NTC and WWF, for giving me this opportunity. And I also congratulate NTCA, WWF, WIA, and other organizations for actively supporting all the tiger reserves in India, which resulted in exemplary performance by all the tiger reserves in terms of protection of tiger in its habitat. With respect to Parambiculam, it was declared in 2009, 38th tiger reserve in India. And from the day one, we have adopted the strategy of people inclusive management. So the entire tribals and other peoples residing in the tiger reserve were involved in all tiger reserve management issues and all the management strategies, including protection, community-based ecotourism programs, and research and monitoring. And with respect to ecotourism, since the tribals and other peoples not having much economic opportunities in the tiger reserve, we started developing a lot of ecotourism products so that they can be engaged, so that their pressure on the forest can be reduced drastically. So accordingly, we developed a lot of products. Earlier, probably this is the first tiger reserve. We have a 100% cattle free, because people earlier they used to rear a lot of cattle for their sustenance, and we ensured them that you sell the cattle, dispose the cattle, and we will ensure that we will give an alternate employment opportunities in our various ecotourism programs. It took a lot of time, but our producers and a lot of officers, they have done an excellent job. And now it is 100% cattle free. And when the immediately after the tiger reserves are formed, then we have written the first TCP, and probably first TCP approved by the NTCA. And we made it a point, there is no ecotourism programs in the core area. So all the ecotourism programs are in the buffer only. We don't have any ecotourism program in the core. And we have developed a lot of products. Earlier also, this is acting as this was a sanctuary. So people used to visit, there are a lot of areas. So after once we delineated ecotourism zone, we have actually controlled all the tourism inflow from the entry point itself. We have purchased the safari vehicles, and we used to take this visitors in our own safari vehicles. And this entire safari vehicles, now we have 10 safari vehicles. It is managed by the EDC members. The drivers and guides all from local EDC members. Similarly, we have developed some other, there are a lot of other products. We have a series of dams constructed in this landscape. Once after the dams are over, there are a lot of buildings are unutilized. So we have taken care of all these unutilized buildings, and we have renovated, and we are running a packaged ecotourism packages. Entire thing is managed by the EDC members. We don't have any new permanent structures. All existing structures we have just renovated, and we are using for running a various ecotourism programs. And this entire ecotourism program is managed by the local tribal trained EDC members. And we have developed a handicraft units. We have developed a paperback unit. There is absolutely zero waste. Whatever the waste we are collecting, that we are actually recycling it from the park itself. All the plastics we are recycling it. We are making even souvenirs, and we are selling through our EcoShop also. And we have developed the local tribals. We made a tribal culture art symphony. So that is also exhibited for the visitors. So whatever the revenue comes, it will go to foundation and through this through EDC. And now with the 300 tribal families, now we are giving one employment from each family for the tiger reserve. And apart from that, some tribal colonies are there doing cultivation. For them, we are supported by taking an organic certification, because this is 100% organic products. So we are taking tiger reserve taking initiatives to get an organic certification for this product. So now they are getting an market rate plus 15 to 20% extra premium. Earlier they used to get 50% less than the market price. Now they are getting market rate plus 15 to 20% extra premium. So that giving a lot of opportunity for the local people actively involved in conservation. So after the tiger reserves are formed, so far for the last 10 years, there is no poaching case registered in the tiger reserve. And wow. There is no major unregulated forest fire in the tiger reserve. And we are 100% cattle free and almost 100% plastic free also.
So that's a great example of inclusive conservation. And as you are also saying that the Eco Development Committee members, you are also trying to make them self-sustained. And I think the legacy stays, and Parambiculam will probably be, maybe not just in the country, but in the region and globally, we have a great example of inclusive conservation management. So my next question to you, sir, is that how have you made these eco-development committee members to have some kind of an orientation towards operationalizing your protection efforts, because not all of them are getting benefits. So how are they helping in protection?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, we have almost some 40 anti-poaching campsites. So apart from our regular staff, we have selected the anti-poaching watchers from this eco-development committee only. So this committee will decide and they will select the members and they will give it to us. So they will be given some kind of a training and they will be engaged in anti-poaching watchers in various anti-poaching campsites. So almost more than around 200 watchers are engaged in anti-poaching activities for the last 10 years. And they are working 24/7 along with our field staff. So that is the one advantage. We got a complete network of protection, and this campsites also spread across the tiger reserve, which resulted in absolutely there is no poaching case in the tiger reserve. And apart from that, we are also taking care of, since other families we are taking care of in other ecotourism packages, they are also actually voluntarily helping in our protection aspect. For example, even this last 6 months, though because of COVID, though these tiger reserves are closed, we have not excluded any member from the group. We are continuously engaging them for various field activities, including additional protection. Then we are also involving them in habitat improvement activities. So they are continuously paid because we are getting a last some 5-6 years. We got an excellent revenue generated in the park, almost on an average 4 to 5 crores. So now we have a corpus fund and we are able to manage even this crisis situation also. And they are 100% they are supporting in all our actions.
Thank you so much, Vijayananji. That's really inspiring to hear the inclusive conservation stories. I think we have to come up with some kind of documentation in the future. Thank you so much. We'll come up with some questions in a little later. So I'll now go to Mr. Ravi Singh, sir, the Secretary General and the CEO of WWF-India. Thank you, sir, for joining. We also learned that WWF-India, together with the Madhya Pradesh State Forest Department, have come up with a report on tigers in Balaghat. So we would request the member secretary NTCA and you, sir, to jointly launch the report. So we will put it up on the website of WWF India sometime later today. Thank you so much, sirs. Sir, you have been a tiger lover, you have been a historian, and also as the head of WWF India, sir. What do you think is the role of civil society organizations in tiger conservation these days?
Firstly, I wish to convey my best wishes to everybody who are on the meeting for Global Tiger Day. It's a matter of great achievement for India. The kind of report and results that we have conveyed over the last many years. And the results of tiger conservation, if we take some of the great achievements of my country in the last few decades, tiger conservation results certainly come up amongst the top percentile of the achievement of India. There's no doubt about it. And in this entire thing, all this is possible because of the policy of the government, the political will, the driving of the institutional framework of the government of India and the state governments where tigers occur, together with, and I must mention this, together with the tremendous support of Indian citizens, the tremendous support of institutions, CSOs, and the media. And it seems as if we are all combined in this period of time to deliver the kind of results that Anjana ji, Sanjay, and Vijay are talking about. And in this entire thing, what the role of NTCA, the role of has to be lauded, and it has to be with all the tribulations and the problems and issues which we all are aware of as Indians. We are happy and proud to be where we are. I would say that the role of CSOs, tiger conservation results are because of large amount of contribution by field workers and people who work on the field staff. And the ability to understand the challenges and to work for their benefit and help in whatever way is possible within the legal framework of our country, and to understand their difficulties and to work with them, as to work with the communities who are in the areas where tiger populations are affected. These are things that we can, as CSOs, we can contribute. We can contribute with knowledge, contribute analysis, contribute with support where it is necessary. And not necessarily only infrastructure support, but also help at times of disaster. I mean, we have COVID, we have floods, we have issues of cyclones, we have drought, and all this time. I mean, the ability to understand this from a point of view of India, this is actually really like a vessel of life, where those who can work to the extent of their ability to help where is necessary, and also to share the achievements and the pride with which we set ourselves as a nation and country. I just mentioned that it is not necessary that only large institutions or medium-sized institutions are the ones that can help or can support or can communicate the issues in the areas. It's also small organizations, individuals who have deep knowledge and commitment and great love for India and great love for tigers. I mean, they also need to, agencies of tourism, the practice of responsible tourism, and then to bring that back to the Indian public and citizenry. This is a time where we can all work together. And the next decades that lie ahead of us with great challenges, I think we can show a way out in the world, that what India can do and how we've achieved it. And this, I'm sorry, I'm just going on this because I'm quite close to this subject. The people who are on the screen, Anjana ji, Vijay, Sanjay, Yadav Saab, Amit, who's sitting at the back, between themselves, they represent amongst the finest technical and managerial abilities for tiger conservation. For me, certainly in India, but perhaps also in the world. And I've heard this comment again and again from our colleagues in WWF and other institutions, that India in this way, collectively, maybe not just individually, but collectively leads. And I think our CSO organizations should also take that as an example and try and stay together, try to work together, and certainly help, because there's a lot to do in this, it's a large landscape. It's a relatively small part of India, but still the challenges are high. And therefore, this kind of teamwork and cooperation will make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think the buzzword there is together possible. It came in your talks, I think, number of times. And I'm looking at the comments that people are posting on YouTube Live and Facebook Live. A couple of people have written something very nice. It says just a single word, good vibes. So I think challenges will be there, but if we have a positive attitude and if we work together, I think a lot could be done. Sir, you have already said about certain things where India has really pioneered. So what do you think on a global platform India would be able to showcase in terms of tiger conservation and conservation in general for the future?
So I must say that in these congregations and these meetings, when a representative of India stands up and makes a statement, people listen in silence and respect, because there's a lot to learn, even though that person may be a young representative. They listen because they believe that this is a representation of practicality, of experience, of great resourcefulness, backed by institutions in India, all the way up to a larger political acceptance, which sometimes is difficult for people to understand, but we would not have been here had it not been for national leadership. So that's one thing. Second is the institutional framework of India, legislation, institutions that have come alongside it. With all the challenges, we have evolved all the time, and in the last 20 years, we've done many changes to bring it to where we are. Other thing is that it's not a question of just having a largest number of tigers in the world. I think in a lot of areas of our country, the population is stable. I think that message should be reiterated, because stability of population is also something that we would like to. It gives you an idea that the ecology is okay. These are mitigants for climate change. There's a quality of water, air, the ecological flows, the valuations. These are all, in that sense, example for the rest of the world. I think also the aggressive management, sometimes aggressive in the sense positive aggression, where we saw decimation of populations of tiger in national parks, and we undertook relocations. Sariska, Panna, Sariska particularly under very difficult circumstances, and not just these two reserves, but also intra-reserve. Sometimes we see translocations, helping cubs through their lives to become wild and free-ranging tigers, for rehabilitation of tigresses and tigers when they've been wounded. I mean, these kind of things. And what needs to be seen as an achievement is when the team is working in the field to find a strayed out or lost tiger cub, or a tigress which has been wounded or is not well, the way the handling happens, the way the protocols take place, and the emotion with which people work at that level of excellence is second to none. And those of us who've had some experience of visualizing this, even on celluloid, even on YouTube, I would request this to take this message home, because this at times is India at its finest. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your comments. We'll come back to you. I would now like to go to Dr. S.P. Yadav, the ADG Project Tiger and Member Secretary, NTCA. So thank you for joining us despite your busy schedule. Sir, you had earlier worked for Project Tiger and NTCA, the office which was in a different building, I remember. And then you also worked for the Global Tiger Initiative as well as Global Tiger Forum. You took part in the St. Petersburg Summit, the 2010 summit, which put up this ambitious target of doubling tiger numbers across the whole world. So coming with this very rich background of what's happening at a policy level and what kind of support is required for tiger conservation, what opportunities that you see for maintaining India's tiger success for future? Sir, your mic is on mute. Sir, you have to unmute your microphone.
Sorry. So thank you, Dipankar, and good afternoon to you all. At the outset, my greetings to all participants, the panelists, and those all people who are watching this online streaming of this discussion. There are many things, as very rightly pointed out by Ravi Singh Saab, we can be proud. But the most significant thing, which I believe, is bringing more and more area under the coverage of Project Tiger. We started in 1973 with 18,000 square kilometers with 9 reserves. Now we have 50 tiger reserves with more than 72,000 square kilometers. Project Tiger has no parallel in the world. A lot of funding support is being provided as central assistance to different state governments. I think that's helping a lot. Our budget allocation, if you see, about 5-6 years back, it was on an average 150 crores a year, but now it has more than doubled. So I think the tiger being our national animal, the government of India gives a lot of priority for tiger conservation. This is important. Bringing much more area under the protection, under the coverage of Tiger Reserve, under Project Tiger. And as you are aware, if any sanctuary or national park, if it is upgraded or declared as a tiger reserves, it enjoys highest degree of protection under the Wildlife Protection Act. So the status altogether changes, and that has helped in conserving our tiger population. So area, investment, and then the protection regime. If you compare our tiger reserves way back in 70s or 80s, now the protection has improved a lot. We have now special tiger protection force in many reserves. We are doing smart patrolling with the help of MS stripes. We are using technology like electronic surveillance, drones. We have special security plan guidelines for tiger reserves. Site-specific guidelines are there. They are part of the tiger conservation plan. And then now we are conducting security audit, independent security audit. No country is doing all this kind of things. So we are doing security audit of tiger reserves. And as the report has revealed, yesterday the report was released, and it is revealed that there are 30% tiger outside protected area network, outside our tiger reserves. And let me tell you, these tigers are the most vulnerable tiger. So we have started providing funding support from centrally sponsored scheme of Project Tiger to these areas as well. As you are aware, we are also implementing conservation assured tiger standards to take care of these tigers, to improve the management, which are the tigers which are outside tigers. So there are many steps which Government of India has taken that has helped and to achieve. We are at this present position because of several factors like this.
Right. Thank you, sir. As you rightly said, that there are tigers even outside the tiger reserves and protected areas. We all know that tigers need large connected landscapes. So, any vision, anything for people to learn about large connected landscapes and what should be done?
Dipankar, tigers cannot survive in islands of protected areas. They need connectivity to maintain the genetic diversity. Now we have, if you compare with the world, we have more than 60% genetic diversity in our Indian tigers. So identification of core is very important. As a part of All India Tiger Estimation, we have identified these cores connecting different tiger reserves at macro level. The delineation of these corridors is again very important, and that is done through tiger conservation plan. Tiger conservation plan, as you are aware, it's a mandatory, it's a statutory requirement, and it has three parts: a plan for core, plan for buffer, and also the corridors. So we are taking care of these corridors. Many the user agencies, they are coming to us for requirement or clearance of their linear infrastructure or developmental activities, and they want to know whether the area falls in corridor or not. If it falls under the corridor, it has to they need prior approval of the standing committee of the National Board of Wildlife. So what we are doing, very soon we are launching our new website, and we are giving access to anyone who can log in and can check whether their proposed area falls inside the corridor or not. So in this way, we will be facilitating identification of course, and the user agency also. If it falls within the corridor area, they need certain approvals and they adopt mitigation measures. Then there are many corridors which are transnational. Like as Sanjay, the field director of Dudhwa Tiger Reserve, has said, the tigers keep on moving from Nepal to India and vice versa, Bhutan, with Bangladesh, the Sundarban area, and also to some extent in the Myanmar. So we have bilateral relations with all these tiger range countries, and regularly we meet the corridors. In fact, we need to work on these transnational corridors much more, because we cannot stop the movement of tiger. So we need to monitor the status, the developmental activities taking place in these corridors, and that is at the transnational level. So I think we are taking good care of our corridors, but we need to do much more on a consistent basis.
Right, sir. I had a few other questions, but you have kind of answered most of those. I will come to the last question from our side. Is that, sir, how is India's tiger conservation future looking like? We know that there are challenges, but as you have also said that there are a lot of positives. So what do you envisage in short?
Dipankar, I am an optimistic person. And as Ravi Singh Saab said, our laws, our rules, our strategy is respected across the world. We have very fine, outstanding young officers working in the field. You have means you have heard them how beautifully they are managing their tiger reserves. We have very committed and dedicated frontline staff, and their role has been appreciated widely by Honorable Minister, our Minister, and also Minister of State yesterday in their speeches, in tweets. We are looking at that. So I am very optimistic. India is striving for the best in the world, and we need to consolidate our tiger population. We need to consolidate. We need to bring more areas. There are still number of tiger occupied landscapes which are not tiger reserves. We need to bring them under the fold of Project Tiger, so they also start getting funding support. There are many low density areas in the country in different tiger reserves. In fact, within the tiger reserve also there are certain parts which are of low density. We need very active management of tigers so that the tiger reserves, they work within their carrying capacity. Where there is tiger number is low with respect to carrying capacity, we need to address all these issues with active management. Then one thing very important which Ravi Singh Saab has pointed out, and also Vijay Anand has said, we need support of local communities. There are a lot of poor people, they are residing inside or in the fringe areas of Tiger Reserve. 42,000 families are living inside core area of Tiger Reserve still. There are large number of villages in the buffer areas. And these are the people who sacrifice. So unless some direct and generous benefit these people get out of tiger conservation, I think we need their support. So a lot of, like, they're getting employment, as Vijay Anand has pointed out. They're getting good support from the tiger reserve management. They're getting employment in the form of mandates like the local tiger protection forces through eco-development committees. We must address their livelihood issues so that their dependency on natural resources of tiger reserve is minimized. So and also the tourism. The benefit of tourism, we don't want the commercial tourism or mass tourism. We want smaller scale ecotourism which leaves very low carbon footprint in our wilderness or tiger areas. I think the tiger conservation foundations are playing a very important role to involve the local people. So the people support creating constituencies, creating voices in support of tiger conservation is very, very important. But the biggest challenge is again the human-tiger conflict. And for that also, we need public support, people support in dealing with such situations. So I am optimistic, and we are global leader, and we will be global leader in the field of tiger conservation.
Absolutely, thank you, sir. I mean, that's really really very great to hear. Being optimistic, together possible, and an inclusive conservation, which I think a couple of previous speakers were talking about. That support of people. Dr. Malik, would you like to say something? Can we take some questions and then we try to sum up?
We take questions and then.
Yeah, so we have quite a lot of questions. I'm sorry, in the interest of time, we might not be able to take all the questions, but I will try and see that at least the gist of the questions are taken. There is one particular question which is, and as all the speakers, including Dr. Yadav, has talked about human-tiger negative interaction, there is a question about what do we think about sugarcane tigers or sugarcane felids, primarily in the Tarayark landscape. I guess that would be a question best answered by Mr. Pathak. Sanjay ji, over to you. You need to unmute your mic.
Yeah, Dipankar, we are definitely facing that problem that tigers are there in the sugarcane fields in the Pilibhit Tiger Reserve area, as well as the area adjoining our Kishanpur Wildlife Sanctuary, as well as the Durban National Park area. So there, as sir was pointing out already, we need to have the active management practice. So definitely, with the help of WWF, we have done this phase 4 exercise this year, and we are trying to triangulate the numbers of number of tigers which are roaming outside. So from the WIA, will be soon getting the tiger pictures, and with our database, we'll be comparing the our database pictures with that of WII, and we'll be zeroing upon which are the tigers which are going inside the sugarcane field and which are remaining inside the sugarcane field. So based on that, we are thinking, we are planning to radio collar some of them to study their behavior, so that we can come out with a better option to
Okay.
actively manage those tigers. And definitely Dudhwa National Park is in a position to cater to some of the tigers because it is it has not reached its carrying capacity so far. So there is a scope to accommodate tigers in Dudhwa National Park area of Dudhwa Tiger Reserve. So based on all those studies, we'll be planning to solve this problem.
Right, thank you. I think that was also reflected in the comment by the member secretary NSPA. He was talking about active management. Thanks. There is a question, sir, about, and anyone can take it, which is essentially saying, and maybe Dr. Malik, maybe you could sum it up later on. There's a question which says that does this increase in tiger numbers? Sorry, I have to. Does this increase in tiger numbers kind of show an improved ecological health or ecosystem health in the country? And there are also questions and comments on how are these development challenges of linear infrastructure being handled in tiger corridor planning or in connectivity conservation. So maybe, sir, you would like to take it while summing up. I guess we are coming towards the end of the webinar. So over to you, Dr. Malik. Thank you, everyone, the panelists and the viewers.
Thank you very much, Dipankar. It's really enlightening to be part of this discussion today, and I mean it's always a privilege to have interaction with field officers. I'll quickly sum up, starting with Kanha. I think, as Anjana said, Kanha is an institution, and that is what matters. And I think we have been NTCA as an institution, and as Ravi Singh sir said, that the institutions and the ability to actually have a vision to manage and propagate and take forward such projects only comes through an institution knowledge and building of an institution, because that's very, very important. And Kanha, we often refer to as a textbook managed tiger reserve. There are many of the capacity building programs also happening there. So we are aware of that. And she also pointed out the eco development initiatives, which is, again, I would like to mention at this juncture itself, that the Tiger Conservation Foundation, which are legally derived out of the Wildlife Protection Act, Section 38X, is also a strength which has actually shown, is reflected, as Vijayanand also said, Parambiculam, and many tiger reserves who have really done very well and have benefited the people, as well as during these very stressed times have been able to support the livelihood, as well as people in the park, associated people in the fringe, and also could help beyond. So this is very, very important. So for which I think a lot of confidence building comes and helps in our own management in relation to, I think, the human wildlife conflict situations arising, because the shift in management now with people's participation has actually shown the actual how best the management paradigms can be, and tiger reserves management have actually shown that. Coming to of course also rewilding and reintroduction, active management. again, Kanha has been a pioneer, and many of the other managers and tiger reserves have taken a lot of lessons from there and have replicated elsewhere. So we really congratulate the Kanha tiger management, the state of Madhya Pradesh for actually doing a lot of good work, which has been showcased and has been replicated. Coming to Dudhwa is definitely a tiger reserve with a lot of challenges, as Sanjay already said, especially in terms of tigers in the fringe, in the agricultural fields, and for which you also mentioned about how active management has to be in place in actually dealing with such situation. Definitely a shift in your grassland management as well, where you're going in for palatable species, more preferred palatable species, which would ultimately definitely help in improving your grasslands and the herbivores and the carnivores as such. So that is these are things which are required and requires the manager's perspective into each and every aspect as we on a day-to-day basis when we think of long-term management. You've also mentioned about the rediscovery of an orchid after 118 years, which is, of course, that what I would say is the field officer's eagle eye, which would definitely look for certain things within its the treasures within its tiger reserves, and we really applaud for that. Challenges in such tiger reserves are the international borders, where because international borders do share habitat across each side, and there are challenges. We are aware of that, as you mentioned. Better coordination. So, as our additional director general said, Project Tiger, that we are, in fact, today morning itself, we were discussing on that, on revival of getting in the coordination and invoking our bilateral engagement. So I think definitely we would be seeing good days ahead, and always in such situations, challenges do remain. We are so happy to also know that the flood situations since 2010 have been largely under control, and that, of course, always like places like Kaziranga and all that to experience floods across the, year after year. Definitely, it is an additional requirement in terms of management for the field. Coming to also Parambikulam, I think we've greatly understood the success has been definitely with people's participation, and as Vijay mentioned, that it is people's inclusive management, and we many examples. Paramkulam has been pioneer, as he mentioned, that it's a cattle-free, one of the first, maybe first, the cattle-free tiger reserves in the country, and Vijay himself and all other officers are have contributed immensely to do so. The managing people, managing our parks with the participation of people have really shown very good results at the level of protection, at the level of alternate livelihood for people. And he has cited example, which I think have also been replicated in many parts of the country in tiger reserves and even in protected areas elsewhere, which really indicates that these foundations or these tiger foundations have helped in difficult times. As he also mentioned about a corpus which we actually have been maintaining in foundations for such times, and very importantly, during these difficult times, people also got engagement in protection, and in view of that, they could be paid wages from these foundations. So that is very good thing. and that would go a very long way. So it's also no fires. We know that many of the fires which occur are also human induced, and where you have a situation where people are on board and they take the onus, such situations do not happen. Poaching, no poaching for last 10 years is a very significant thing which we mentioned. Coming to Secretary General and CEO, Ravi Singh sir, role of civil societies. You very rightly mentioned, and I would like to quote that globally India is a leader and second to none. And there is a lot of weight and strength in what you say. And we are all partners, and we have all shared this. It is not that the only the government systems have made it possible. There are ultimate number of stakeholders and partners who have made this possible. It is true that you also mentioned that small or big, all have a role. Some have expertise in capacity building, some have the wherewithal of financial assistance. So they all have to keep joining hands and taking this forward. As MSNTC also mentioned that we are looking beyond, and even yesterday, the honorable ministers and even DGF, the Director General Forest and Special Secretary, he also mentioned that we have to now think beyond looking at the global level when we are in that leadership position. So definitely technical managerial competence in India has attained a particular level. We need to make use of this further, and also ensure the tiger range countries and other tiger landscapes beyond also get benefited, and then only this. So because we know that there is poaching, there is a demand, and we need to, unless everybody joins hands, we won't be able to actually go beyond a point as we envisage. The institutional knowledge, you mentioned about the stability, which is population stability, a very important point in terms of tiger, which directly is correlated and reflects on the ecology, quality, for that matter, of water, by protecting these habitats, and it's all intercorrelated. So definitely, you have made a very important point. Aggressive management, you mentioned, very important, and we do have developed over the years. Each park has some or the other expertise, and whether it is in terms of rewilding, when we say Kanha, when we say active management and translocation, when we are talking about rescue and rehabilitation, many of the parks have excellent facilities. We're second to none. I repeat what you said. So I think those are very good points which the Secretary General WWF-India said. Coming to ADG sir, SP Yadav sir. Sir, we know that you've been a very long association with Project Tiger and of course NTCA in the formative years itself, and you made some very important points as to from 18,000 square kilometers to 72,000 square kilometers, from 9 tiger reserves to 50 tiger reserves is a journey, and it has not come. We've all seen these years being associated with the Project Tiger. It has come a very hard way, and all our their contribution from each one in the field, and all partners, some way or the other, in different parts, are put together to make all this happen. And also the kind of population and the density of population and habitation which we have, and the connectivities which need to be remain connected for tigers to move, also, and with the requirement of, I would not say pressure, but the requirement of development of linear infrastructure, we have really shown as to how both can go hand in hand. So I think you mentioned all these things, and the degree of protection, which protection regimes which are there in the country, supported by the very stringent act which is in place, the Wildlife Protection Act 1972, is all that has given us this strength to keep the tiger management and to come to this pedestal today. So you also mentioned about 30% of tigers which are outside, which is a reason which is very, very important as to when we are talking about the genetic diversity in the movement, the low density areas from where low density areas which require to be repopulated vis-a-vis the carrying capacity, and all those aspects for which we would be getting into the next phase when we are talking about which you very rightly mentioned, sir. You have also mentioned about the TCP, which is our for all tiger managers is the Bible, which actually has very defined management prescriptions and which help the park managers to manage their parks. And definitely in the coming days and months, we have a lot of things for planning and taking this forward. So we will also have to definitely applaud all our, as you mentioned, all our frontline staff who are really committed. You very categorically mentioned, and it is not only a mention; it has been it is seen and it has been shown to the world as to how the total workforce, the frontline force, and all others, including the partners put together, have made this happen. The bilateral engagements you mentioned, sir, which are very, very important, especially because in our neighborhood we have a lot of tiger landscapes which are in continuity, and that becomes important for us because we are the largest tiger populated state in the country, and whatever technical know-how help is also required. I think we in these bilateral engagements are also mentioned, and I think that would also help taking our agenda, tiger agenda ahead. So you also have mentioned about the necessity of the human-wildlife or tiger conflict, which needs to be addressed in the coming days and months and years, because that again, with the engagement of people, would be very, 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 very useful. So I think I'm stopping with this because overall we have had the I think points which Dipankar had raised. I would request Dipankar to add on to a few of them. Sorry for being very, very fast in recapitulating what we discussed. Dipankar, please.
Thank you so much, sir. What we are also doing, we try to keep this session for an hour from 3 to 4. We are way beyond our time. And there are a lot of comments which have come, so we will summarize these comments in one place. A lot of suggestions which are coming even from international experts. So thank you, everyone. Thanks to you, sir, MSNTCA and ADG Project Tiger. Thank you, Mr. Ravi Singh, sir. Thanks to all the field officers, Anjana ji, Mr. Pathak, and Vijayanan ji. Thank you so much, and thanks a lot, the viewers. We will end the broadcast now, and be rest assured that all your chats and comments we will put together, and we will see what actions could be taken. Thank you so much.